issue any statement or things, make any decision until after this meeting. So we might consider what arguments can be made then. The union contract is subject to being reopened on May 1st. Normally, the industry waits until after they've had their labor settlement and then raises prices loudly as a result of the wage settlement. To precede the wage building is unusual. It may be that there again there's an opportunity for pressure, that they may be concerned that if they go too far on prices, the lid will be off on the union's demands. We also therefore have to think about what our approach would be to the union. I've just talked to the union's negotiator. They don't want to be the patsies for the whole labor movement. People have a wage freeze. Steelworkers, they say.
And I think we ought to make a strong statement as soon as possible. We ought to, pointing out the economic situation, particularly the fact that exports, imports, and balance payments, and everything we ship from our heavy goods contains that. And then talk about reduction of costs, accommodate that contains that. And I think we'll let it rest there for the time being. I'll try to do it and stop them, but see if I can have good effect. I think we come to be expecting that way, so I think that's as far as...
You have a draft prospective?
I have not, no. I have some very interesting data. I got notes on that.
What's the data for that?
The data is very quick. It's very interesting to show you what has happened.
Comparing 1961-62 with 53, 55-57, steel mill product exports fell 55% in volume, 45% in value. Imports increased 214% in volume and 188% in value. During this period, U.S. steel prices rose by about 13%, while import prices fell by roughly 8%. Therefore, this 22% relative rise in U.S. prices was associated with a decline of net exports of roughly 4 million tons to the 61. If we assume, therefore, that each 1% increase in the relative prices reduces our net exports by 400,000 tons, the 3.6% increase in U.S. steel prices, wheeling increase, would cause a further decline in U.S. export, or increase in imports of about 1,450,000 tons at $170 per ton. The midpoint between unit value of exports and imports, this indicates a deterioration of the balance of payments of about $250 million. Well, then in addition, what is our figures? This would be, then what would be our figures and what it would do to the American economy, aside from the balance of payments?
Well, I think on the balance payments, you've got to be awfully careful about using them in such figures if this is a selective increase, as we say, because they may be increasing in areas where imports are not coming in.
I would put a mistake with this exact thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't get yourself hooked on that and have to come back to there are no imports over their increase.
On the other hand, the steel hundred is an important element of cost in a lot of our other exports, including machinery.
It means about 0.5% of it spread through the users, 0.5% increase in the wholesale price index.
0.5%.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not so much, is it?
Well, considering that we've had an absolutely stable wholesale price index for 5 years, it's quite a lot.
That abstracts completely from what may happen to the posture of the labor movement and what may happen to wage developments and their effect on other prices in areas remote from steel.
You call on labor and management at the same time in this statement to hold down costs without being too specific. They can have a good effect.
They have, or actually, what is the economic supply they need this price increase? If you figure that unless they were going to have an additional wage increase in May and June, in view of their productivity increases and the figures you had last year, aren't the unit costs lower now than they were a year ago?
As long as you stay at 80% or around 80%, it drops back to 65.
Of capacity?
That's right.
What are their profits, the steel industry's profits?
Well, they're down in 62 over 61. They're running about 4%.
Yeah, 7% on the
National story, 62.
$1,162. Now, what about after this counts their appreciation in?
Yes.
Net income after tax, I see. Federal income.
Net income before depreciation was also down, but it was down much less.
For additional.
Cash flow, which is the income after taxes plus depreciation, has gone up quite a bit. And that was the major complaint which Blau had at his press conference last year, was he needed this additional cash flow in order to invest.
Was cash flow includes depreciation and net income after taxes?
There's money available to invest.
In Wheeling's reply to your letter of last year, Mr. President, they emphasized the point that they needed the price increase to provide the funds to finance their investment program. So this does put it on the basis of cash flow then.
They just borrowed $125 million yesterday.
So one thing, practically all the steel industry during the last year cut their dividends, so they're earnings to invest, but they certainly are in a position where everybody feels the steel industry has not done well because they had to cut dividends.
And the utilization has been right around 65% for 3 years. That's the real source of the trouble.
John, what is your view about it?
Very similar to Secretary of Commerce.
What do I just say?
There ought to be some statement saying that this will affect balanced payments and therefore is serious. I'd avoid getting into too specific figure, but maybe several $100 million or something like that. And the way to get competitive is to reduce prices. We hope with depreciation reform, the other things, the tax credit, the better advantage, better opportunity to do that, and just express a strong hope that there will not be generalized price increases, and then let it go. And I don't think you can do again sort of thing we did last year. I don't think it would work, and in the first place, and so you don't want to get into it and not have it work. I think it worked last year.
Well, and of course, how the statement's word is bound to be interpreted as an effort to present.
Yes, I think it is. It would show our just the general position of concern to the balance of payments.
And it's consistent with the action the government is taking on balance of payments. In any sense, need a hostile reception from the standpoint of what is the real issue here.
It's a serious question of timing as to such statements to whether you flush out because Wheeling Steel raises prices in a couple of lines. This is a far cry from across the board price increase by the industry, and I think some of our afterthought statements last year indicated that a certain number of selective price increases that appeared company by company would be a perfectly normal pattern, as it is in any industry, particularly at a time like this when you've got
Biggest question about the trouble in the statement that
I think, of course, certainly this is confirmed by other factors. That some kind of a statement as to the consequences of the national